Hello Dicers, my dream chasers, welcome back to Dice Decides. So, what is nothingness? Have you ever wondered that? All we ever know is somethingness. When I look at anything, I see something. My hand is something. My face, my nose, everything is something. But then we have a word called nothing. And what does that actually mean? Is it the opposite of everything? Or is it a different way of saying everything? It's a different way of understanding the same thing. As I've understood quite recently, I used to think it was an opposite thing, but it's quite literally the same thing. Because if you imagine nothing, what are you thinking about? A blackness, a void, empty space. All of those things are something. Black is an absence of light. That is something. Empty space is still space. So what is truly, true nothingness? It's just a question that philosophers have pondered over thousands of years. But I don't think many people realize it's the same thing as everything. As something, as anything we can think of, because everything is nothing. And how can that make sense? How can everything be nothing? Clearly everything is something, right? Well, I think we have to define what a thing is, and I feel like that's where we run into a problem as well. What is a thing? What is a thing? Okay. Right. Most people would say, this is a match. Okay, a match is a thing. But say I remove half of the match. Is it still a match? Is it? Well, most people would say it's half a match. That's right, it's half a match. Okay. I'll play along. So, what happens when I break off even more? Is this still a thing? Well, it's no longer a match, but it is a quarter of a match? At what point does it become not a match? How much do I have to break off? Until there's no wood anymore? Until it's just the top bit that's flammable? Is that still a match? Right. Now I broke off quite a bit. It's only a tiny bit of wood left. And the flammable thing, is that still a match? I mean, it's a tiny piece of a match, so in a sense it's a match. But if I keep tearing off more and more wood, from what point? Where do you draw the line? When does it become not a match anymore? Was it the first time I broke it? Is that when it becomes half a match, so it's not a full match, so it's not really a match? You see how blurry it gets? Like, what defines a thing? Like, it's just... It's all arbitrary. There is no thing. Like, even my body is just... Okay, it's cells. Okay, I am made out of cells. What are cells made out of? Atoms? Are atoms things? But atoms are made of smaller things, like quarks, electrons. Those are called elementary particles. But surely they must be made out of something, because, electrons, quarks, they have mass. They have a certain substance. So surely they must be made out of something. But what is that something? What is the fundamental thing that everything is made out of? And the answer is nothing. Because nothing is everything. It's everything we know. And it's so bizarre to realize, because I'm not really a thing, because I'm always breathing in air molecules and breathing them out. So at what point does some of the air become me? Is it when they first enter my nose? Or is it when they enter my lungs? Or is it when I have taken some of the oxygen molecules into my system in some sort of way, like into my blood? Like, at what point does it become me? What am I, even? I'm never a concrete thing. Everything is arbitrary, so... You can't even say something, because there is no thing. There is just nothing. No thing is nothing. There is just nothing. So everything we know is no thing. Nothing. It's two sides of the same coin. It's exactly the same thing. I used to think it was, on the opposite side of infinity, but it's not. It's literally infinity. And infinity is nothingness. Because you can't imagine it as anything else. Because a black void is still something. And something is nothing. So, yeah, it's a strange one. Nothingness is truly... It's very fascinating to think about. So, yeah. What is a thing? No one knows. Because there is no one to know. That got deep. Oh man. So, what am I trying to get at? I'm just trying to explain and understand nothingness. Because I just think it's so it's so fundamental. It's one of the most fundamental things we can ask. And there is like nothing concrete. We might look at a rock and think, oh, that's very concrete. It's a very solid rock, right? The atoms are bonded very solidly, sure. But again, what are atoms made out of? It's mostly empty space. But what is in the parts that are not empty? Yeah, like I said, quarks, electrons, and if you keep going deeper, you keep finding more nothing. You know, there's just more nothing. But nothingness has form. It has shapes. It has feeling. Like, I obviously can feel things. If someone slapped me, it hurts. Obviously, I feel that. That's a biological, evolutionary thing that's developed for survival. For my organism to survive, I need to feel pain so I can avoid doing that in the future. But what exactly is trying to survive? Nothingness. It's a strange one. But yeah. I've been reading a lot about, fundamental blocks of the universe, like, all the particles and photons, and photons don't have a mass. Isn't that weird? Because apparently photons do affect the space-time fabric. So they do influence gravity. But I thought only mass did that. But it turns out mass is energy. Now, I think this gets pretty deep, because if mass is what we call mass, it's energy, and photons are energy. Mass is basically photons, and because electrons absorb photons, and then they change their energy states, and even quarks absorb photons, and it changes them. So the only thing that makes sense to me is that photons, light from the sun, it reaches atoms and quarks, and it gets trapped within them. And that's what creates mass. Just trapped photons, because it cannot escape. It's just within that atomic structure, and it's just going in circles. That's why things are vibrating. They have the energy of photons, and atoms are always vibrating. Even in rocks, they're still, they might have strong bonds, but they're still vibrating, and they're vibrating because of photons inside of them. And photons have no mass, but a collection of photons have mass. Because mass is created by movement and energy. Moving energy. That's the definition of mass. So, but since you cannot like trap a single photon, you can't single out one photon, because a photon, just one photon, doesn't have a mass. So it's basically zero-dimensional. A photon is zero-dimensional. So, like, there is no, like, starting point. That's what I'm trying to get at, is just a collection of photons that suddenly become something. What we call something, anyway. Which bends the space-time fabric and creates gravity, basically. So, energy creates gravity. It's fascinating stuff, really. But it's basically nothing. It's all just a whole bunch of nothing. But it's kind of cool. I never thought of nothing as having, you know, any kind of features. But nothing is what we all experience. It's just, it's here, it's right now. This is nothing. What I am experiencing and seeing, it's all nothing. Photons have no mass, it's nothing. Light is nothing. But I still see it. Why do I see it? Why can I see nothing? I always thought nothingness was just, well, the normal thing is to imagine like just blackness, just a void. But that is something. The whole concept of putting a word to it makes it something. It has to be something that just you can't define. And it's true. You can't define nothing. Just like you can define everything. You can define infinity. Because it's never ending. And nothingness is never ending. It's literally the same as everything. Because when you imagine shrinking a circle, like trying to get to nothingness, like when it has like complete zero radius and diameter, it becomes everything. Because there is no circle anymore. There is no boundaries. Suddenly it encapsulates everything. Do you see how that works? Apparently a black hole is just matter condensed into a singularity which has a radius of 0. And it just creates a black hole. And physics can't explain this. We have no way of testing what's inside of a black hole. It's too far away and we just haven't reached that point yet. But my logic tells me that a black hole is basically a wormhole. I've talked about this before, but it's... So, you have to imagine the space-time fabric, and since matter, like, bends it, makes it like a well, and once it becomes so heavy, it rips it, and it becomes a wormhole, and all the matter is just becomes it's a singularity. And that's it, like, there's a wormhole there. And there is no mass left. It's just zero. Like I said, it just became nothing. Like, true nothing. What other people would consider nothing as well. But we would still see a black hole, but the black hole is just the wormhole. No light can escape it, because light falls into the well. It travels to another parallel universe. And I know that sounds insane, but that's my theory, that's what makes sense to me. There's parallel universes, guys. And what people call dark matter is normal matter in a different parallel universe. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, okay? I have thought a lot about this. Because we find gravitational changes that don't line up with the matter we see in our universe. That's how we discover dark matter or antimatter. It's literally gravity from the other parallel universe. I think. I mean, this is just all my theories. There's no way to prove this. It's just so strange. And apparently antimatter or dark matter, the electrons there become positrons. The charge becomes opposite. So, since it's opposite, what does that mean? What does it mean that everything becomes opposite? This means that when you fall into the wormhole, which, you know, it's normal gravity like we're used to, is just very strong gravity, pulls you into the black hole, and once you reach the singularity, where, you know, the center of where the black hole collapsed into itself with infinite density, when you reach that place, you will enter the other parallel universe. But now you may ask, well, how would you escape the black hole if even light can't escape it? How would you actually enter the other universe? Well, don't worry, I got you covered. So remember I talked about the opposite charges and electrons, and just all the particles become opposite. Everything becomes opposite. Well, guess what? That affects gravity as well. So instead of being pulled into the singularity, you're being repelled. So it's acting like a magnet, and it just shoots you out, because in the parallel universe, all the matter in that universe is going to repel you, because you are going to be dark matter in that universe for them, from their perspective. Because for us, all there is dark matter in that universe. And so, yeah, you will see stars and stuff. Everything will look the same, but it will all repel you. And so yeah, we would have to develop technologies that would allow us to overcome the repelling force of that universe's gravity. And, but the interesting thing that I've thought even further about is that, say that universe is below us, there is another one even further below, like a second parallel universe, or a third. If ours is the first, second, third, the third one would be normal to us. So the way we could enter that is if we brought enough matter from our universe into that first parallel universe next to us. So we would have to bring enough matter to create another black hole in in that universe, to then make a wormhole that goes further down, because our matter makes wormholes downwards and their matter makes wormholes upwards. And that's how you can travel to different planes, different, you know, space-time fabrics, fifth dimensions, whatever you want to call it. And the totality of all these planes, that's the sixth dimension. But I've talked about dimensions before, but it helps you realize things about our reality if you understand dimensions. So I do recommend watching my video about the 10 dimensions. I think I explained it pretty well, but I will not go into this video because it's already too long. But anyway, how did I start talking about all of this from nothingness? As you can see, nothingness has a lot to it because it is literally everything. So yeah. And so yeah, if we brought enough matter from our universe into our closest parallel universe, we could create another wormhole that goes further down. And that way we can access more parallel universes, and we could travel far enough until we found an Earth where COVID never happened. That'd be nice. You know, all realities exist. They're just in a different parallel universe. You could find yourself, talk to yourself, and that'd be kind of cool. I would show up to another version of me making this video and be like, hey bro, what's up? I'm from a parallel universe. And I wouldn't be scared. I'm like, okay, awesome, sit down, let's make a video. Be like it's kind of like my twin, because he would be exactly my age, because it's still the same, we've been through the same timeline, but not exactly the same because we made a little bit of a different decisions. Now, I don't know how different the closest parallel universes are. I have thought about this, but I haven't had the chance to discuss this with anyone because people don't even believe in parallel universes. They think it's just a weird concept, but if you understand infinity, it's obvious to you that they do exist at this very moment. And every moment, all moments, they're always there. And that's what I've been trying to tell you all. It's black holes, that's how you travel to them. Anyway, but why would anyone listen to me? I'm just a random YouTuber with no way to prove anything. But guess what? The best, most amazing discoveries about our universe started out as theories. And theorizing about things that make sense in your mind, it's powerful stuff. And I encourage people to do that. Because it's not imaginary things. It's things that line up with other things you understand. Like I've said, I've made connections between dimensions and parallel universes and energy and matter, and everything is just so interconnected, and it all just makes so much sense. But yeah, ultimately it's all nothing. It's all nothing. And it's pretty rewarding to realize that, because it puts the pressure off your shoulders to, it makes you realize nothing really matters, even though everything is matter. Sorry, I love wordplay. But yeah, it's just, like I said, like you can't truly define a thing. Like, even matches in a box, they're a little different. Like, some are, slightly different sizes. If you went to the atomic level, they would all be different sizes. So there is no thing. It's all just different definitions of things that look more or less like something we're already used to. Strange. Reality is strange. Nothingness is strange. It truly is. I always thought about it as a void. But nope. Here we are. This video is nothing. You are watching nothing. You're listening to nothing. You're listening to sound waves? What are sound waves? Vibrations in the air? But again, what is air? Like, it's atoms. Everything is atoms. And there's nothing inside of atoms. Because photons have no mass. Just energy. Maybe everything is energy. And yeah, that is the definition. Everything has some sort of energy. Man, this goes deep. I will this video will have no end if I get into everything. Because when you reach for infinity, it will never end. That's literally the definition of infinity. It's the same as if you try counting to infinity. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll stop right now before I go insane. Right? Like, why would I need to count to 1,000,000? Why would I need to count to 10 billion? I would never reach that anyway, but it's just, it's pointless. While at the same time, it's fascinating. Counting isn't fascinating, but discovering infinity, discovering more and more about the reality we live in, how things work in relationship to everything around it, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to learn more and more because it's endless. That's what infinity is. It's endless. Like, you can go deeper and deeper. Like, once our technology gets even more advanced, like when AI takes over and helps us understand the world even better, I am almost 100%, 99.99999% sure that we will find something smaller than quarks or electrons. What we consider elementary particles right now, we will find something smaller that we will define, and then we will keep advancing and we will find something even smaller, and it will keep getting smaller until forever. We'll never find the base, fundamental, whatever you want to call it, because it's all nothing. Do you realize what the 0th dimension is? It's a point in a specific space that has no size. That's what one photon is. Sizeless, massless. But somehow it has energy. Because we wouldn't experience anything without energy. And it simply has to be this way. Because if everything was just a black void, that would still be something. You know? There's no better way of explaining this that I know of, but nothingness is just everything we know. It's everywhere, all the time, every second. So, I hope this made sense. It's just a very powerful realization if you can have it. This video won't guarantee any realizations, but it might trigger something if you watch till the end. But hey, I'm just exploring reality, and I thought I'd make a video about it. Because it goes deep. Infinitely deep. The search for truth never ends unless you realize that the search isn't necessary. Because you can understand infinity. I believe that. You can understand it without knowing all the details. Does that make sense? You can understand something without knowing everything about it. Which sounds like a paradox, but I mean, everything being nothing literally is a paradox. And I think the secrets in life lie behind the word paradox. And so, yeah, look out for that. Whenever you see a paradox in life, look deeper into it, because the truth will definitely lie somewhere there. But you just gotta look at it from the big picture. And by big picture, I mean literally including all the parallel universes and all of time, space, and everything you can think of and more. That's how big you have to look at. That's how big your picture has to be. Bigger than your understanding of everything you know at this present moment. And how can you possibly have an understanding that's bigger than your understanding? It's impossible. It's a paradox. Exactly. Anyway, that's about it. It's just interesting to think about nothing. I'm just thinking about nothing, guys. It's nothing to worry about. It's all nothing. Even I'm the one doing the thinking. I'm nothing. Nothing is really thinking. It's all just a whole bunch of nothing. But energy. Is energy something, even though it doesn't have mass? But we can't see it, we can't feel it, we can't... properly define energy. What is the definition of energy? I was about to end my video, but I can't stop going. I have so many things to think about. What is energy? Energy is the ability to do work. Apparently that's the definition. The ability to do work. I have the ability to do work. I have energy. But where does my energy come from? From food. Food grows from the soil. Need energy from the sun. It all comes back to photons, in my opinion. Photons is the massless energy that powers us all. Yeah. Ability to do work. What's the definition of work? That could literally be anything. You might as well call it the ability to exist. So if energy is existence, what am I trying to get at? I'm not sure. Man. I was gonna end this video. Yeah, I think I'll end it. Alright guys, hope this was enjoyable. I'm sorry it got so long. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, if it's interesting, you watch till the end. But anyway, that's it. Remember to gently tap on that like button and ring that bell so you don't miss an upload. And remember, I forgot my outro, guys. See you later.